Ladies and gentlemen, the mind is a powerful instrument, but it is the emotions that give it fire. Mastery over self begins with mastery over emotion. You may conquer nations, build empires, and accumulate wealth beyond measure, but if you cannot command your own feelings, then you are still a servant to something within you. Too often, men and women are ruled by the tides of their mood. One word of criticism and they collapse, one moment of praise and they forget their purpose. The person who allows anger to rise uncontrolled, fear to dictate action, or desire to cloud judgment has already surrendered power, not to an enemy, but to the self. True success is built not in moments of comfort, but in moments of emotional tension. It is when the heart is heavy, when doubt creeps in, when failure knocks at the door, that is when mastery is forged. The individual who remains calm, poised, and focused in that storm will always rise above it. Emotions are not to be suppressed, they are to be understood and directed. Just as a river, when channeled, can power cities, so too can your emotions, when controlled, fuel greatness. But if left unchecked, they will flood your vision and drown your potential. Every great achievement began with someone who chose not to react, but to think, not to panic, but to plan, not to retreat, but to rise. That choice is yours in every moment. When your anger tempts you to lash out, pause. When fear tells you to give up, stand firm. When envy whispers lies, listen instead to your purpose. Emotional mastery does not mean you feel nothing. It means you choose your response, and in doing so, you choose your destiny. The man or woman who commands their emotions has already achieved a higher victory than any conqueror in battle. Because before you can master the world outside, you must first master the world within. Emotional mastery is the foundation of personal power. Without it, all other strengths are unstable, all other virtues are vulnerable. The greatest minds in history, the most enduring leaders, the builders of empires and movements, they all shared one ability above all others, the capacity to govern their inner world. They knew that emotion, unchecked, could destroy logic. They understood that no matter how sharp their intellect or how grand their ambition, they would fall short if they could not rise above emotional chaos. A person's emotions are not external forces. They originate from within, and if not managed properly, they can become the very chains that bind potential. A sudden wave of fear, and a dream dies before it begins. A surge of anger, and a relationship crumbles. A quiet whisper of doubt, and a decision is forever delayed. These are not just fleeting feelings, they are internal forces capable of shaping or shattering a life. And the person who allows them to run wild remains forever at the mercy of circumstance, never fully in control of their destiny. To master your emotions is to master yourself, and to master yourself is to master the one thing in life you can truly control. No man, no woman, no storm in the world can touch the individual who holds command over their emotional state. Because this mastery gives rise to calm in chaos, clarity in confusion, and strength in moments of great weakness. It is easy to act rationally when things are calm. It is simple to make wise choices when emotions are quiet. But the true test of mastery is in the storm, when failure visits, when loss knocks, when betrayal stings, when you are tired, pushed, questioned, doubted. What do you do then? That moment when everything inside you screams to react, to lash out, to retreat, to give up. That is the moment that separates those who rise from those who fall. Every person is born with emotions. But not every person learns how to rule them. Most are ruled by them. They are pulled by mood, swayed by environment, shaken by words. A single comment can derail their focus. A single mistake can erase their confidence. But the individual who has made the decision to discipline their emotional reactions, to not merely feel, but to respond with intention, this person becomes unstoppable. Emotional mastery is not about suppression. It is not about denying your feelings or pretending they do not exist. It is about recognition and control. It is about being aware of what you feel, but not allowing that feeling to dictate your behavior. It is about standing firm when every part of you wants to run. It is about speaking with grace when you are tempted to shout. It is about choosing courage when fear tries to take the wheel. When a person understands their emotions, they begin to understand the triggers that move them. They begin to see patterns, moments where anger rises, where fear creeps in, where insecurity whispers. And with that awareness, they begin to prepare. They do not wait for the moment to overpower them. They train themselves in advance. Like a warrior prepares for battle before the fight begins, the emotionally mature individual conditions their mind and heart daily. They choose thoughts that uplift. They refuse to dwell on thoughts that destroy. They guard their inner world as if it were sacred, because it is. A person with emotional mastery becomes a force of stability in an unstable world. They are the calm in the room. The unshaken presence. They listen when others argue. They think when others react. They choose purpose over ego, discipline over impulse, growth over comfort. These are not traits of chance. They are products of inner work. Power begins with self. All influence, all leadership, all authority begins there. And if the self is undisciplined, if emotion rules thought, then everything that is built will eventually collapse, because nothing lasting is ever built on unstable ground. Emotion can inspire, it can energize, it can give fire to ambition, but only when directed with intention. Unfocused emotion is like a wildfire. It destroys indiscriminately. Focused emotion, however, is like the sun through a magnifying glass. It ignites with precision. When you look at those who have achieved greatness, you'll find that their greatness wasn't just in what they did, but how they carried themselves under pressure. It was their ability to stay focused when everything said quit. It was their choice to rise when failure seemed permanent. That choice, time and time again, was born from emotional strength. Some of the most brilliant ideas never reached the world because someone allowed fear to silence them. Some of the most promising leaders never fulfilled their role because they allowed anger to cost them their influence. Some of the most loving relationships failed because someone let pride speak louder than vulnerability. These are not tragedies of intellect, they are failures of emotion. To master your emotions is not just a personal advantage. It is a requirement for anyone who wishes to build anything meaningful. Whether it is a vision, a family, a business, a movement, emotional mastery determines whether it will thrive or perish. It determines how you handle setbacks, how you lead others, how you handle success without arrogance, and failure without despair. The disciplined mind, guided by calm emotion, is a weapon. It cuts through distraction. It sees through illusion. It holds the course while others drift, and it earns trust, not just from others, but from within. Because when you master your emotions, you begin to trust yourself. You know you will not sabotage your own progress. You know you will not quit on a bad day. You know you can keep your word, stay your path, and lead your life with conviction. And when that trust is built, brick by brick, choice by choice, you become powerful in a way few understand, not because of external status, but because of internal control. You no longer seek validation from the outside. You no longer need circumstances to be perfect to act. You carry your power with you because you earned it, because you built it, because you mastered yourself. Emotions are the most intimate and immediate forces that shape the decisions you make, the words you speak, and the life you live. They are powerful, persistent, and ever-present. Every person experiences them: joy, sorrow, fear, anger, doubt, pride. But few take the time to understand just how much control these emotions exert over their daily choices. The truth is simple, yet profound. Your emotions are either your greatest allies or your most cunning enemies. They will either lift you or they will limit you. There is no middle ground. If you do not take control of your emotions, they will take control of you. An uncontrolled emotion, even if brief, can cause irreversible consequences. Consider how many people have spoken words in anger and lost relationships they treasured. Think of the countless opportunities missed because fear whispered louder than faith. Ponder how many dreams were postponed, sometimes forever, because self-doubt was allowed to lead the way, Emotions are not fleeting visitors. When left unchecked, they settle in and take over the direction of your life. A person who is ruled by emotion becomes like a ship without a captain, tossed and turned by the waves of whatever feeling shows up next. One moment, confidence might surge, and they feel invincible. The next, insecurity sets in, and they abandon their goal. They wake up motivated and by nightfall are discouraged, with no clarity on what changed. This instability weakens character and clouds judgment. Success becomes inconsistent, and peace of mind becomes impossible. But when you begin to take control, when you stop letting your emotions dictate your reactions and start training your emotions to support your decisions, everything changes. The same energy that once worked against you begins to work for you. Fear becomes focus. Anger becomes determination. Sadness becomes reflection. Jealousy becomes ambition. You begin to direct these emotions instead of being directed by them. They serve your purpose, not the other way around. Controlling your emotions does not mean denying them. You do not pretend you're not angry when you are. You do not suppress fear or bury sadness. Control means awareness and response, not suppression. It means recognizing what you're feeling, understanding where it came from, and then making a conscious decision about what to do next. It means allowing emotion to inform your actions, not to control them. This kind of emotional intelligence is not common. Most people do not pause long enough to reflect. They live reactively, not intentionally. They are provoked, and they respond without thought. They are disappointed, and they spiral into self-pity. They feel envy, and they act out in subtle sabotage. But the man or woman who lives with awareness, who sees their emotions for what they are and holds authority over them, this person lives above circumstance. They make decisions from a place of power, not impulse. In every major turning point in life, your emotional state is present. It either propels you forward or pulls you back. And the people who have achieved greatness, who have overcome immense challenges, who have led others through storms, they are not immune to emotion. They have simply learned to master it. They have learned that reacting to everything you feel is weakness. Responding with wisdom and discipline, even in the heat of emotion, is strength. Think of the strongest leaders throughout history. Think of the inventors, the entrepreneurs, the revolutionaries. They were not strangers to fear, anger, or frustration. What set them apart was that they refused to be controlled by these emotions. They used their fear as a warning, not a wall. They used their anger as a tool for change, not destruction. They used disappointment as fuel, not a finish line. Emotion did not sabotage them. It served them because they had learned how to lead it. Emotional control is a form of leadership, and it begins with leading yourself. You must learn to lead your own mind, your own heart, your own impulses. You must learn to pause when provoked, to breathe when triggered, to speak with intention rather than reaction. That pause, that breath is where your power lies. In that space between emotion and action is your freedom to choose. And if you can master that space, you can master your life. There is no lasting success without emotional control. A business deal can collapse with a single emotional outburst. A reputation can be destroyed with one careless response. A life's work can be undone by a moment of indulgence in destructive emotion. And yet, a future can be built when you choose discipline over drama. A relationship can be saved when you choose humility over pride. A dream can be revived when you choose persistence over despair. The world will test you, people will provoke you, life will challenge you, and in each of these tests, your emotions will rise. But if you've trained yourself, if you've made it your mission to control yourself before you control anything else, you will respond with power, you will remain composed when others fall apart, you will act with vision when others are blinded by rage, you will think clearly when others are clouded by feeling. That is the mark of someone who is not only emotionally intelligent but emotionally powerful. Remember this, emotions are meant to be felt, but they are not meant to be your master. You can feel them without obeying them. You can respect them without being ruled by them. You were not born to be a slave to your inner storms. You were born to rise above them, to command them, to channel them into something higher. When emotion knocks, you do not need to open the door and surrender. You observe it, you learn from it, and then you decide. That decision, made in the middle of emotion, is where transformation begins. And that transformation, repeated over time, becomes a life of power, not power over others, but power over yourself, the only true power there is. Every decision you make, every action you take, and every outcome you experience is touched in some way by your emotional state. At the very core of all wise action lies a quiet discipline, the discipline of emotional control. Emotional discipline is not about feeling less, it is about feeling wisely. It is the ability to harness the intensity of emotion without allowing it to cloud judgment. When developed, it becomes the foundation for clear decisions and unbreakable resilience. Many people believe that the key to better decisions lies only in logic, in reasoning, in intellect. But what is often overlooked is that your logic is only as effective as your emotional state allows it to be. You can have the finest plan, the sharpest intellect, but if your emotions override your clarity in a critical moment, that plan will crumble. A brilliant idea will fall to pieces if fear is allowed to take the reins. A sound judgment will be abandoned if frustration rushes in. Emotion, left undisciplined, turns wisdom into weakness. When your emotions are not trained, they become unpredictable. One moment you're thinking clearly, the next you're blinded by anger. You go from confidence to doubt, from focus to distraction, from patience to impulse. You begin making decisions not based on vision or purpose, but based on how you feel in a fleeting moment. And a life built on momentary emotion will always lack consistency, stability, and strength. But when you train your emotions, when you discipline yourself to feel, yet not be overwhelmed by the feeling, you unlock a new level of mental sharpness. You begin to see through emotional fog. You pause before reacting. You assess situations without personal bias. You remove ego and insecurity from the equation. And as a result, your decisions become stronger, faster, and more aligned with your highest goals. Emotional discipline allows you to separate what you want now from what you want most. In moments of anger, it keeps your mouth closed when silence is strength. In moments of fear, it holds your ground when everything urges you to retreat. In moments of fatigue, it reminds you of why you started. Emotional discipline keeps your vision intact even when your surroundings are unstable. It is the muscle behind every mature decision you will ever make. There will always be pressure. There will always be setbacks, delays, and obstacles. You will be misunderstood. You will face criticism. You will encounter failure. But the person who is emotionally disciplined does not break under that pressure. They become sharper because of it. They use the pressure to refine their patience, deepen their perspective, and heighten their awareness. Resilience is not born in comfort. It is born in those moments when giving up feels easier than going forward. And what keeps you going is not just motivation, not just belief. It is emotional discipline. It is the inner voice that says, I will not let my emotions decide for me. I will choose according to my values, not my moods. That voice is the foundation of inner strength. People often ask, how does one become mentally tough? The answer lies in emotional training. Mental toughness is the byproduct of consistent emotional restraint. Every time you want to quit but don't, every time you want to lash out but hold your peace, every time you want to fall apart but choose to hold steady, you are building strength that cannot be taken from you. You are fortifying your will, sharpening your mind, and developing the kind of endurance that will carry you through the darkest hours. True resilience is not loud. It does not scream or boast. It is quiet and steady. It is the calm in the face of chaos. It is the composed expression when others are panicking. It is the decision to stand firm when everything is shaking. This kind of resilience is not possible without emotional discipline. The person who has trained their emotions is the person who survives the storm and continues building while others are still recovering. Consider the impact on relationships, leadership, and personal growth. In relationships, emotional discipline means responding with empathy rather than reacting with ego. It means choosing understanding over judgment, patience over irritation, love over pride. In leadership, it means being the steady hand when your team is overwhelmed. It means making difficult choices without being clouded by emotional attachment. In personal growth, it means pushing forward when growth is painful and staying committed when results are delayed. No one is born with emotional discipline. It is built through choices. It is developed in moments of discomfort. It requires self-reflection, honesty, and repetition. It demands that you stop blaming others for your reactions and take full responsibility for how you respond. It teaches you that your emotions are your responsibility, no one else's. Not the critic, not the failure, not the circumstance. You and you alone must command your emotional state if you wish to live powerfully. And when you do, you begin to experience a shift. Your mind becomes clearer. Your relationships become more peaceful. Your goals become more achievable. Your energy is no longer wasted on emotional outbursts or internal turmoil. Instead, it is directed toward building, creating, leading, and evolving. You begin to live with intention rather than reaction. You will never eliminate emotion, and you shouldn't. Emotions are part of being human. They bring color to life, but when emotion becomes the decision maker, life becomes chaotic. When discipline takes the lead, everything changes. The key is not to feel less, but to feel better, to feel with purpose. To feel and then act with wisdom. That is the power of emotional discipline. The most powerful individual in the room is not the loudest. It is not the one who wins every argument. It is not the one with the highest title or the most attention. It is the one who can maintain composure under pressure, the one who can choose peace in the middle of conflict, the one who can delay gratification in pursuit of purpose. That person is rare. That person is unstoppable. To reach that level requires commitment. You must be willing to examine your triggers, to understand your patterns, and to choose growth over comfort. You must train your emotional responses the way an athlete trains their body, deliberately, consistently, and with high standards. You do not tolerate excuses. You do not let yourself off the hook. You decide who you want to be, and you align your emotions with that vision. And in doing so, you discover what very few ever do. That emotional discipline is not just a habit. It is a gateway to power. It sharpens every decision. It strengthens every step. And it gives you the resilience to keep climbing. No matter how steep the path, the world does not slow down for anyone. It throws challenges at you. Unexpected events, sharp words, failures, delays, disappointments. Chaos is not a rare visitor. It is a constant companion on the path to achievement. And in the midst of that chaos, the difference between those who lead and those who fold, those who rise and those who retreat, is often found in a single ability, the art of remaining calm. Think of the individuals you most admire. They are not just talented, they are not just intelligent, they are steady. They remain grounded when others lose direction. They hold their posture when others panic. They remain calm when pressure is high. This quality is not a natural gift. It is the result of deep inner mastery. It is the outcome of training, discipline, and a conscious decision to never allow external events to dictate internal peace. Calmness is not weakness. Calmness is power restrained and focused. It is strength under control. It is the quiet assurance of a person who knows their worth, their mission, and their capability, no matter what the world tries to throw at them. The loudest person in the room is not the most powerful. The calmest one is, the one who can hold their emotions in check, the one who can think clearly while others are drowning in panic. In business, calmness gives you an advantage. When a deal is falling apart, when a market crashes, when a team is struggling, the leader who remains composed is the one who sees opportunity in the wreckage. In relationships, calmness preserves love. It allows you to listen instead of react. It creates space for empathy instead of conflict. In personal growth, Calmness is what allows you to keep moving forward even when life is messy and uncertain. Calmness sharpens your thinking. It allows you to make decisions from a place of clarity instead of confusion. You don't rush to judgment. You don't lash out in defense. You don't act out of fear. You observe. You analyze. You respond with precision. That ability is a weapon. Because most people are emotional reactors, they speak without thinking, they act without strategy, they make decisions from a place of inner chaos and then wonder why the results are unstable. Every crisis is a test of your inner calm, and those who have cultivated that calm do not merely survive the storm. They lead others through it. They do not pretend the storm does not exist. They simply refuse to let it consume them. They anchor themselves in purpose, in discipline, in perspective. They rise above the noise. They hold to their vision even when the ground is shaking. How is this calm developed? It starts with the decision that your emotions will not rule your behavior. It is the understanding that no matter what happens outside you, you still have authority over what happens within you. You cannot always control the event, but you can always control your response. And in that response lies your power. It requires training. You must learn to sit with discomfort without being driven by it. You must learn to breathe through stress instead of reacting to it. You must discipline yourself to pause before you speak, to think before you act. You must develop the habit of stepping back before you step forward. That pause is where your strength is found. That space is where you rise above average. You must also learn to detach your peace from circumstance. If your calmness is dependent on everything going right, you will never have peace. You must build a calm that endures delay, disappointment, and difficulty. A calm that comes not from comfort, but from character. You must anchor your identity in something deeper than outcomes. Whether you win or lose, succeed or fail, your center remains steady. There are moments in life when everything seems to fall apart. You may face betrayal. You may lose what you worked hard to build. You may be met with rejection, setbacks, and sudden change. These are the moments that define you, not because of what happens, but because of how you respond. If you can stay calm while the world shifts around you, you become unshakable. You become the one others look to when they've lost their way. You become the pillar in the storm. The world respects composure. It does not respect panic. It honors the one who can stand tall when others are sinking. It follows the one who remains clear when confusion reigns. That kind of calmness is a leadership trait. It cannot be faked. It is built in the quiet, in the discipline of the mind, in the daily decision to not be ruled by temporary emotion. Calmness does not mean inaction. It does not mean apathy or detachment. It means clarity of action. It means doing what needs to be done without unnecessary emotional interference. It means responding with strength instead of reacting in fear. It means holding your ground when pressure mounts, not because you feel no fear, but because you have trained yourself to act despite fear. Every great achievement comes with chaos. Every dream pursued will encounter resistance. Every climb will bring fatigue, and in each of those moments, your calmness becomes your compass. It allows you to continue forward with a level head. It allows you to hold faith when others lose it. It allows you to move with precision when the world is moving blindly. There are those who will try to provoke you. Life will throw things at you to see what you're made of. The person who rises is the one who does not let outside noise disturb inner stillness. You do not argue with everyone. You do not respond to every slight. You do not let the emotion of the moment rob you of the mission you've committed to. Developing this calmness requires discipline of thought. It means guarding your mind, feeding it with perspective, choosing what you dwell on. It means practicing gratitude, focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you cannot. It means mastering your breath, because in breath is presence, and in presence is power. You will never reach the heights you're capable of without learning to stay calm when it counts. That's when your real character shows, not when things are easy, but when they're chaotic. Calmness under pressure is the foundation of greatness. It's not just a mindset, it's a message to the world. I am in control of myself, and that makes me unstoppable. Every human being is equipped with a powerful set of emotional forces: joy, fear, anger, love, ambition, envy, hope. These are not weaknesses. These are tools. They are meant to serve you, not enslave you. They are signals, not commands. Yet most people move through life as slaves to their emotions, reacting to whatever feeling takes hold in the moment. They allow temporary emotions to make permanent decisions, and then they wonder why their lives feel chaotic, misaligned, or broken. To master your emotions is to recognize that they are energy, raw, untamed, and capable of building or destroying depending on how they are used. That anger you feel can be the fire that fuels a breakthrough or the fire that burns down everything you've built. That fear can be the whisper that causes you to hesitate or the alarm that helps you prepare. That ambition can lead you to extraordinary heights, or it can consume you in endless restlessness. The power lies not in the emotion itself, but in your relationship to it. When you allow emotion to rule without guidance, you invite destruction. A single emotional outburst can ruin a reputation built over years. One decision made in frustration can close doors you spent months trying to open. A moment of weakness, if left unchecked, can lead to long-term consequences that shape your destiny. People lose businesses, relationships, health, and opportunity, not because they lack intelligence or resources, but because they lack emotional control. The person who learns to treat emotion as a tool begins to shape life deliberately. They ask themselves, what is this emotion telling me, and not what is this emotion forcing me to do. They recognize that emotions are data, not directives. Just because you feel fear doesn't mean you should retreat. Just because you feel anger doesn't mean you should speak. Just because you feel sad doesn't mean you should stop moving forward. Your feelings are not your fate. They are your feedback. Mastery is the ability to interpret them without being consumed by them. You would not pick up a hammer and start swinging wildly. You would not handle fire without intention. So why would you treat your emotions any differently? They are just as powerful, just as dangerous, and just as useful if controlled. The same fire that destroys can forge steel. The same water that floods can nourish crops. The same emotion that breaks one person can elevate another. It all depends on the discipline of the hand that wields it. When emotions are mastered, they become fuel. Anger can drive you to right or wrong. Pain can push you to grow. Fear can sharpen your focus. Ambition can sustain your effort, but only when you are the one holding the reins. Only when you have developed the awareness to pause, to reflect, and to channel that energy into action that aligns with your vision, not your momentary impulse. Most people are reactive. They are driven by the ups and downs of emotion like a leaf tossed by the wind. They feel motivated and they act. They feel discouraged and they quit. They feel provoked and they attack. This is not mastery. This is chaos in disguise. This is how people stay trapped in cycles. Emotional cycles that repeat year after year, leading to frustration, regret, and stagnation. To break the cycle, you must rise above the emotional storm. You must observe your emotions without letting them control you. This doesn't mean you suppress them. It means you study them. You understand where they come from. You see how they influence your thoughts and behaviors, and then you choose your action with clarity. That is what separates the strong from the scattered. That is what separates the builder from the destroyer. The builders in life are those who remain centered, even when emotions run high. They do not deny what they feel, but they do not allow their feelings to hijack their decisions. They ask themselves, what will this emotion produce if I act on it? They measure the cost before they speak, before they move, before they decide. And because of that discipline, their lives are marked by progress, not turmoil. Think about how many dreams have died because of fear. How many relationships have ended because of pride. How many businesses have failed because of impatience. The common thread is emotional mismanagement. A moment of unchecked emotion has the power to erase years of effort. But when emotions are mastered, they become allies. They become indicators that help you navigate with greater wisdom. They add depth, strength, and direction to your life. Mastering emotions does not mean becoming robotic. It means becoming strategic. It means leading your emotions instead of following them. When sadness visits, you don't collapse. You reflect. You allow it to teach you, and then you move forward. When anger rises, you don't explode. You identify the injustice behind it, and you act with clarity and purpose. When joy arrives, you savor it. But you don't get complacent. Every emotion becomes part of your arsenal. But like any tool, emotions must be trained. This requires stillness. It requires discipline. It requires developing the habit of not reacting immediately. It requires building a pause between what you feel and what you do. That pause is where greatness lies. That pause is where the future is shaped. In that pause, you ask, is this emotion serving my higher self or sabotaging it? And the answer determines your path. This training is daily. It is not built in easy moments. It is built when you are tired and someone says the wrong thing. It is built when disappointment hits and you want to quit. It is built when anxiety rises and you choose courage anyway. Emotional mastery is a practice, a choice, a lifestyle. It is the quiet work behind all visible success. No one sees it, but everyone benefits from it. If you want to build a future of strength, peace, and purpose, you must master the tools that shape your responses. Emotions will always be present, but they do not have to dictate your path. You can feel fully and still lead wisely. You can hurt and still choose growth. You can be afraid and still move forward. That is mastery. That is power. Those who succeed at the highest levels are not the ones who feel the least. They are the ones who feel the most and still choose wisely. They are the ones who turn emotional energy into focused action. They do not let feelings drive the vehicle. They let feelings inform the journey, and in doing so, they avoid the destruction that comes with emotional chaos and build a life marked by strength, direction, and fulfillment. Let others be ruled by their moods. Let others be pulled by emotional tides. You, however, must rise above. Master your emotions, and you master your destiny. Let them rule you, and you will hand over your future to chance. The choice is yours.